In this video, I'm going to be making my Flippin ID wallet pattern card holder. I saw somebody asking for a pattern for it, and when I looked for one, I couldn't find one. So I'm like, I'm just going to come up with one. It's a basic card holder, but it has the cute scallop detail on it. I've made a couple different kinds, all out of vinyl. So this one was my first one. It's a little bit different, where I lined the card slots with waterproof canvas, and it made it a little bit thicker, so I opted to leave that out of the pattern. But if you want to add that to the pattern, you can definitely do that by adding a seam allowance and sewing the right sides together, then flipping them over and top stitching. So this was the first one I did, and I used, I think this is vinyl from mormino.com that she used to carry a long time ago. And then I used the star vinyl from So Hungry Hippie, I believe. And then I just used a regular split key ring there. And this one I actually messed up on, and it does say in the instructions to make sure that you fold this flat back out of the way when you're top stitching here. I forgot to do that, and now it's attached, which I guess isn't terrible. It's just I didn't want it like that, so whoops. But so that was that. And then this one I used a cam snap. The other one I used a metal snap. I just put a little D-ring here so you can do whatever. This one is vinyl from Joann's. This is vinyl from My Punk Embroidery, I believe. Vinyl from Joann's, cam snap, and no like D-ring attachment, so you have that option as well. This would be really fun to edge coat or something. I just haven't dove into that yet, so none of these are edge coated, but that would be something fun to do. And then this is the glitter canvas from Micri or Micri World, and I did sew this on my little cheap domestic machine with no problems. And then again, this is that star vinyl from So Hungry Hippie, and I just used the cam snap. And then this one I attached one of these keyring bracelet things, so that's an option too. So you have lots of different options. Anything. I do want to still make one with cork, so maybe that'll be my next one. But my husband named the pattern because he said it looks like you're flipping somebody off. So that's where the name came from. And I'm just going to go over the pieces really quick, and then we'll get started sewing. I have two of piece A. This is vinyl from My Punk Embroidery as well. On this one, I did put some Decoville light on the top part, just because my machine doesn't like the different thicknesses of layers. So I added that to one side just to give it a little more beef when I'm top stitching around here. So two of piece A. This is completely optional, and I don't think I even included that in the pattern. One of piece B, which is a little bit bigger than C. C will have, if you want to interface here for the snap, this is C, and it will have the snap on it. This bottom snap part will be on that. And then we've got piece D, which is the edge, not, and then there is measurements for the vinyl. This heart vinyl is from So Hungry Hippie as well. And I just have it clipped already to sew. And you can attach it with double stick tape and then sew it, or just attach it with hair clips or whatever clips you want to use. Don't use pens though. And then I have 2 of E. One has a piece of interfacing because the snap will go here as well. So I'm just adding a little bit extra reinforcement. And then this is my D-ring tab, and I cut out the piece. I used the piece that I cut out from this to make this. So I'm not cutting an extra piece. It's just using what you've already cut out. And then this is my snaps that I have that I got from Amazon. So that's all your pieces. This one I'm going to be sewing on my heavy duty, just because it is like the vinyl and not the canvas. And let's get sewing. Okay, so we are going to be starting with piece E, which is the tab, and I'm just using double stick tape to help stick it to keep it together. And yeah, I'm gonna actually punch my hole really quick, since at least on one side, so I can see, since I made the mark on the wrong side. Then I'll go through and punch it for both sides. So I'm just going to line this up as best I can, and if it's easier, just cut out one of these pattern pieces along with an extra like rectangle, and then sew it together, and then cut it out so the edges match up nicely. Okay, so because I'm basically just edge stitching everything, I moved my needle that just to keep it as close to the edge as possible. Then we're going to take the curve nice and slow to keep it nice and pretty. Along the top, I did a lot of hand cranking when I made these, just to keep it nice and curvy. So here it's a little bit off, so I'll just go through and trim it, even it out. Thanks. And then I'll punch my hole the rest of the way on both pieces. So there's my hole, there's my top stitching, sewing those pieces together. And now we're going to add the snaps to these two pieces. And I do have the placements on the pattern pieces as well as the measurements on where it should go. And if you will excuse me, I will go attach. I am using the metal snaps and I don't like hammering on my table, so I'm gonna go attach these really quick and then I will be right back. Okay, so I attached the snaps here and now I'm going to sew the vinyl to the window piece. And if you do notice on my window ID, this is a tiny bit wider than this. This is the bottom and this is the top. And I did that because when we sew it all together, this will be sewing along this bottom piece here. So it just allows for a little bit extra, because if you sewed that on the bottom, you'll just have a thinner. I mean, either way, I guess it doesn't matter, but that's how I set it up. Trying to get you so you can see. All right, here we go. And you can either back tack or tie it off in the back. Alright, so here is the vinyl attached to a window card slot. And we are going to now attach piece E to one of piece A. Here's your placement piece, which is on the pattern. And then you want to make sure that your snap is going the right way, because it's going to wrap around the back. So you want to make sure that the snap part is facing down. And I just hold it in place when I stitch it on. And then we're gonna sew piece B, which is the bigger one without the snap, onto the piece A that does not have the snap tab. And you can either, well, so piece B, and I just label them on the back in like the seam allowance area, onto piece A that does not have the tab at 1 full inch seam allowance. And that is so your card does not slide too far down. So there's that there. And now all we need to do is start building our sandwich, which these two pieces are going to be your bread pieces, I guess, if you want to call them that. But first, before I do that, I'm going to sew this together really quick. And obviously, if you're just going to have it as a card holder, you don't need to add the D-ring attachment or anything. And I'm not going to put a D-ring on there because I'm just going to do a split ring key ring. But I am going to get some double stick tape. I'll just cut 2 pieces. I'm going to do one here at the end. And if you want to do a D-ring or like a clasp, fold that over. And then I'm going to stick this. And my machine is not a fan of double stick tape, so I actually should be using my 1/8 so I don't sew over it. Because like I said, my machine is not a fan. And I'm just going to stick it on the edge over here. And I'm going to stick this. Usually, I line it up like over here. So, let's see if I can get this. I have this little pile of, my daughter can't find her blanket. And I'm going to stick it outside of the seam allowance where I'm not going to be sewing. It's a little overhang, but that's okay. And you can, if you do use the Decoville light, you can cut it out before or after. Totally up to you. So this is going to be pretty thick. I'm going to have to double secure it. Just watch when you're walking up and down the hill here if you use one of these. So we're just going around now and attaching or securing these two pieces together. And I'm going to now take, what piece is this? C maybe? A, B, C. Yeah, so this is C with the snap on it. And I'm lining this up at the bottom. Just make sure it's all lined up on the edges. This one seems to be a little bit off. I think that D-ring loop is throwing it off a little bit. That's okay. And whatever side you do the D-ring attachment on, you want to make sure that, actually, I'm going to move this down. I'm just going to move this D-ring down to where it's even with the other piece. There we go. Where'd this come from? Okay. And then, so this will flip over here like so. But now I'm going to attach this. Remember, the thicker part is on the bottom. At least that's how I prefer it. And then just go around and either add more clips or lift up. This one I'll have to trim just a little bit. there's a little bit of overhang here, which is fine, but I'm gonna wait till after I'm done sewing it. So this is where I'm talking about, like when you go over this part, you wanna make sure you fold this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just start and go all the way around. I'm probably gonna hand crank most of this just because I want it to be curvy. If you are using like an edge coat or something that will secure these together, you could just take and sew straight across here. But like I said, I don't have edge coat, so we're gonna just make them cute and curvy. And again, it's just like barely a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I think I have it set at 1/4 inch, but I've moved my needle over to the edge. And then, and I know with most industrial machines, that is not something that you can do. So we're gonna just go, and I always do a back stitch on the card slot. And if you have a walking foot, use a walking foot, because some of this vinyl likes to wiggle. So here we go now, where I'm gonna mostly move this a little bit. You want to go, make sure you go past that V, because then you will, when you come up on the V, you won't be far enough in if you don't go far enough down. That's like right at the edge, yikes. I'm gonna come back up. So on my stitch length, which I don't really know what it is because all the machines are different, but it's set at a 3 on mine. I go like 2 stitches past the curve. Or like the V point when I'm coming down on the back side of the curve. Oop. I missed the curve a little bit. So 1, 2. Ooh. There we go. I probably should have gone one more. I'm gonna go one more. Or like a half a one, but that's alright. Alright, so now I'm on my final go around. And you just want to make it match up with your first stitch. Woo! And you are done. And all you have to do is go clean up your stitches or clean up your edges. So like I'll cut this down. I'm gonna cut over here a little bit. Just make sure it's nice and even. And then, oh, see, I got off a little bit right there. Then I'm gonna just cut through this. And when I did it the first time, when I added the Decoville white, I cut it before I sewed it, which after doing it this way, I would definitely cut before I sew again, but that's all right. So I'm gonna go back through on both sides and make sure they're lined up. You just want to make sure you're using sharp scissors. To get that little point. So definitely, if your machine doesn't mind all the different thicknesses of layers, then I'm actually gonna go and singe my thread right there. I'm just gonna cut this down a little bit. And there you have it. Cute, cute. Little hearts. Here, I'll grab a, let me throw this away. My ID spot. And there you go. Super cute, super quick. So I would love it if you purchased my pattern and sew some up. You can tag me Y6Made. Again, you can thank my husband for the name of the pattern, Flippin ID Card Holder, because, you know, why not? All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good night or day whenever you're watching this. See you later.